Chris, what is our second main topic today?
This one comes from Ryan H. Hey, John, I saw an article reporting that Kevin Spacey has been ordered to pay the producers of House of Cards over $30 million because his conduct negatively affected the show. Do you think this will set a precedent for other actors and scandals? I'm thinking specifically about the Ezra Miller situation. If the movie comes out and doesn't do all that well, can WB sue them for that? What are your thoughts? Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Ryan. And this is fascinating. It really is fascinating because the implications of what has happened here could be limited, but they could be very far-reaching. So here's the basic gist of it. We've known for years, Kevin Spacey, all the horrible, tremendously awful allegations against him. Courts have ruled against him, all this kind of stuff. Now, there was a situation where the producers of House of Cards, which was, by the way, at least for the first couple of seasons, like fabulous must-watch TV. House of Cards was awesome for a while. But an arbitrator ruled a couple years ago that Kevin Spacey, because of his conduct and things that he did, he hurt the show and that he had to pay them $30-something million. Well, they tried to challenge that arbitrator's ruling, went to court, and it didn't work out. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who write the following. MCR, this is the production company behind House of Cards, had argued that Spacey owed them millions in lost profits because his misconduct forced them to remove him from the 6th season of the show, and it had to trim the season from 13 episodes to 8. Ruling in the producer's favor, the arbitrator found that Spacey's behavior constituted a material breach of his agreement as an actor and executive producing agreements. Now, that then went on. The new news about all this is that a court has upheld that, and he's got to pay them $31 million. And you're right, this is fascinating because it raises the question about let's go back to the Armie Hammer thing. Like, they were doing Death on the Nile, and then all of a sudden they couldn't promote it for a long time as they tried to figure out what do we do with the whole Armie Hammer angle. And then finally they get around to deciding, you know what, we're going to release it. We're gonna put it out, and they drop some trailers, whatever. But it raises the question now, could retroactively Fox go after Armie Hammer and say, listen, we probably would have made $50 million more on this movie if you hadn't done what you did and hurt us. I'm not saying they can. I'm not saying they will. I'm just now, with this ruling with Spacey, it makes me wonder. With the Ezra Miller situation, Warner Brothers is dedicated to releasing this movie. We'll talk more about that later. But if they do, are they already, with their legal team, getting ready to go, no matter how much money this movie makes, we're going to say, this movie could have made $200 million more. So, Mr. Ezra Miller, we are suing you for $80 million or whatever because we believe your off-screen shenanigans affected our profitability on this movie. Again, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm not even telling you that's what should happen. I'm just saying with this ruling here that the producers of that show can say, yeah, Kevin Spacey, because of your misconduct and because of your controversies, that hurt us. Because of you, we got hurt, and therefore we're going to sue you. And the judge has found in their favor. That's interesting. Rob, you see this situation. What are the first things that jump to your mind?
Well, I mean, it's precedent, so now suddenly there's precedent set. And it makes me wonder, like, when you're now negotiating deals, if you did something 20 years ago that it comes out after you filmed a movie, like, Kevin Spacey harassed Anthony Rapp at a party when Anthony Rapp was 14 years old. And that was what the cascade of allegations that came down on him after that. Does that mean that you're now going to be beholden to a production company for something you might have done 20 years before you were in that production company's employ?
Well, now remember, in this specific case, you're talking about precedent, there are also allegations that he was groping people on set of the show.
Of course, absolutely. But then now, I mean, I'm just curious from a SAG point of view or a contractual point of view, are you going to have to put some kind of a morals clause in anyone's contract that says, while you are working on this project, from the time we begin pre-production to the time this movie is released or whatever, your behavior is now, you're beholden to this project?
Those exist.
I mean, yeah,
I know for a fact Disney started putting some of those in their contracts after the James Gunn situation.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I think that you have to. You have to. because you have to, because of the Kevin Spacey thing, because of the Ezra Miller thing. If someone's going to spend $200 million, and House of Cards was not a cheap show to make. I'm not saying it cost $200 million, but a movie like The Flash, you have to cover your bets. You have to be able to say, look, we're putting you front and center and gambling $200 million of our company's money, of our shareholders' money. And we have to make sure that you're on the straight and narrow, buddy. And I think you're going to have to do that from now on.
Chris, you hear about this. What are the parts that stand out to you the most?
I mean, jumping off what Rob was saying here too, we have had those clauses right before with Disney, Nickelodeon, Hallmark in particular, right? Any religiously affiliated filmmaking company too. There are morals clauses in there. There's family values clauses a lot of times where you've seen comedians take a break from doing their sets. We don't see them at Flappers as much because they're on a Disney show at the time and they can't say their usual jokes, right? So I feel like that's something that's going to be in a lot more contracts moving forward. Not just those family-friendly kind of clauses, but just companies in general. Your superhero project, you're a reflection of this company, right? And that's true with any job. You are a reflection of the company you work for. And as we know, it takes a village to make a film, right? It's not just the performers. There's so many more people there. But for your average movie-going audience, the face of a film is what they associate with the production. So if you are poorly reflecting that company, and that's who the common person associates with that, you see this face and pair it up with WB, you've got to make sure that you are not doing things that jeopardize the company.
Now, I want to bring up something because I think I'm bringing up this one comment in the live chat because I think there are probably many people who are thinking this as well, saying, and they basically said in the live chat, I don't like this precedent because unless they're found guilty of something, you're talking about ruining people and suing people off of allegations. Well, in this particular situation with Kevin Spacey, he was found guilty in a number of things and ruled against a number of things. So that is that. Now, that makes it a little bit different than the Ezra Miller situation, where as of right now, he hasn't been found guilty of anything in any court. So, I mean, there is a little bit of that. But if you're talking about you don't like this situation, it is exactly what you're describing. So there has been some precedent set.
Yes.
It's going to be interesting, though, when you say morals clauses, I mean, there's a wide berth. Kevin Spacey actually did something to another human being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What if you told bad jokes, like did something in bad taste, like through a party where you dressed up as a priest and there were girls, like James Gunn?
They just brought up in the live chat. It's like, is this just you did anything, or is this you get found by a ruling body, by a court, you get found liable for something? Like, I think there probably has to be a threshold of that.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, I know for a fact, I've had a talk with my manager of, that Disney exec has seen your stand-up. I went, oh, okay, that's fair for certain kinds of roles, right? I didn't get canceled, but it was, yeah, we're not going to have you be the plucky teen girl because you had a lot of abortion jokes online. And I was like, well, okay, that's fair. You make decisions as a performer. Now, do I think that should keep you from working ever because you've told a specific type of joke? If it's something that is hurt people, marginalize people, if you physically have put hands on somebody, these are the things that a court of law have found you guilty of doing, then yeah, I think you're responsible for shutting production down if that's the way things played out.
Anyway, guys, this is, again, I just think it's fascinating that this ruling was made because, what implications could we see moving forward? I really don't know what the limitations or the extent of it could be. What do you guys think about this? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. We want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, Peacock's new series, The Resort. In Peacock's must-see new series, there's more than just trouble in paradise. There's a flip phone, a disappearance, and a suspiciously timed hurricane. The Resort, a new Peacock original from the creators of Palm Springs and Mr. Robot, is an unexpected exploration of how love, marriage, and family can be a real trip. When a couple finds an old flip phone in the jungle on an anniversary getaway, they are unknowingly pulled into an unsolved mystery, a bizarre case that went cold 15 years prior when a once-in-a-century storm wiped away all the evidence. This journey through the Mayan Riviera will take you from the edge of your seat to the depths of human experience and back again. Starring William Jackson Harper, Kristen Milioti, Luis Gerardo Mendez, and Nick Offerman, The Resort is streaming now only on Peacock.